screen recording, I should say, our screen recording by going over the quiz. Spencer, kill the lights, please. All right. Folks, who's the head in the game here? Anthony, Janelle? Okay, take a look. First off, what's the slope of the line connecting? To do this, we should do y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, right? You with me on that? And I think maybe only one kid in the whole class got it wrong. Not to make you feel bad. So I'm not going to really go over that one. If you need to, you can talk to myself or somebody else later. This one, you guys kicked butt on. Furthermore, I think that it shows you really do know how to find the slope. Let me do a little highlighting of how to do this question, because it is something we've worked pretty hard on the last couple of days. I told you it's not an easy topic to do, and you very much impressed me by showing how well you could do this question. So, first I want to get the slope. And for those who messed up number one, you can also use this as a pattern and go back and do one. I don't care which is point 1 and which is point 2, but I do like to subtract so that the y's come out positive. And that means I'm going to make the 9 bigger than the 5, so we go with that. 9 minus 5 over 3 minus 1, which is 4 over 2. So that means the slope is going to be 2. This is a y, not a 4 here. So that leads me to y equals 2x plus b. But as we mentioned yesterday, you can't just figure out b because there's 3 variables in one equation. So how do I get x and y? AJ? Substitute either coordinate, doesn't matter. I'll do the first one here. So 5 is going to equal 2 times 1. Here's my y, here's my x. Any point is x, y, plus b. This is going to be 2, subtracting the 2. 3 is b, and then I plug it back up in there. Okay? All right. Very important question. If you did not get that right, then our efforts of the last couple of days are incomplete. We need to make sure that you get this down pat. So make sure you work this hard tonight. Questions? Okay. Let's go to the next one. I really like the fact that on the quiz, just about every person in the room knew to write 0.75x because you're getting 75 cents per song. So everybody wrote 0.75x. Everybody recognized that the 375 was a one-time fee. Here's where we had a problem. Some people put plus 375, and some people put minus 375. Can someone please explain why it's minus, not plus? Professor Dominici.
Oh yeah, it's because it's a cost to publish and maintain that website.
That's right. Well, that said better than I could.
So you're taking out money.
That's right. See, the profit function, P of X, profit means how much you make. Do you make money added to your total to spend the 375 for the website? Or do you take away from your total income to pay for the website? You take away. That's why it has to be subtraction, also known as take away. And number 4, we've done a couple of questions like this on the homework, not the last 2 days, but before that. Population study of trout in the West Branch of the Delaware shows on average there's 4,000. But the study could be plus or minus 200 trout per mile. So if you're 200 below 4,000, what are you? 3,800, right? And then T or X, I don't really care what you use. And if you're 200 above, what are you? 4,200, right? So the number of trout you have is between 3,800 and 4,200 because there is that slop factor, if you will, plus or minus 200. The biggest mistakes that I saw, there were lots of mistakes made by this, but the 2 that I'd like to focus on. First off, how do you arrive at 3,800 and 4,200? Adding and subtract to the base amount, 4,000. Next, some people messed up these symbols. This part here, whenever it's a bounded interval, this will never change. It's a less than or equal to symbol, whatever the variable is, a less than or equal to symbol. The reason is because the trout is going to be greater than the 3,800, but the trout is also less than or equal to the 4,200. So the symbols will always maintain in that direction whenever you're noting a bounded interval. Yes?
So is this quiz connected to the quiz, take-home quiz, or is this different?
I think there's one on the take-home quiz like that too.
No, but I mean, would this be like?
Oh, no, there's not. Well, what's that?
Is this like the first quiz?
That's the first of 3, and your take-home quiz will be the first of 3.
Oh, okay.
So if you get 100 on your take-home quiz tonight, you don't need to do tomorrow's take-home quiz.
Okay.
And if you don't, then you get another crack at it tomorrow, and then again the next day, okay? Any other questions? All right, so, I think we're pretty good on this quiz. You know, what is always the purpose of the first quiz, everybody? Yeah, to show you what you don't know. All right, always to show you what it is that you don't know. All right, so we just did the quiz, but for some reason I accidentally shut that. I didn't mean to. And I also have to do this one. I think today's a scan and scan 1. All right, so let's take a look at some questions from last night's homework. And the first question I want to look at is number 9. Take a look at your paper, see how you did. Again, this is showing our work for the last few days. Very similar to the second quiz question. Are there any questions there that you need me to go over? Brian, fire away, buddy.
Okay, on our paper says 2/3, 2/3, and that says 2 -3.
Oh, well,
No, ours is negative 3.
Why are the wrong paper probably?
yeah, that's all right, that's all right.
Expensive.
Well, that's the kind of mistake I make all the time, so don't worry about it. All right, anybody have any problems with that question? We're looking good?
Brian.
All right, now let's take a look at one other question from last night's homework. And I don't want to, I'm not apologizing because I didn't do all of the questions from the homework. These are just the ones I want to focus on right now. Okay. Take a look at those and see if you have any issues there. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. But compare that to the work you did. See if you're right, see if you're wrong. If you're wrong, let's figure out where and why you are wrong, so that we don't repeat the mistakes. How did you guys do on letters B and C?
I was confused.
Oh, see.
C? All right. You know what? Can I tell you something? I'm confused too.
B and C.
Do you know what I'm confused about? I'm confused that I'm covering the same exact material in Math 8, and some days I forget what I covered in Math 8 and what I covered in algebra with you guys. So I'm not 100% positive I even did anything like letter C. But the good news is the Math 8 guys picked up on it right away, so you guys should have no problem. AJ, I'll get to you in a minute. Let me go through B and C. Look, if you were wrestling,
No, it's not.
there you go. If you're going to wrestle, and the match always starts on your feet, you have to begin in a really good stance. If you're not in a good stance, you're going to get crushed. And a good stance means this is a staggered stance, one foot's out in front of, chest over knee, hands out in front of you for defensive purposes, elbows tucked in tight to your side. And from this position here, we can move around and we can start wrestling. If you're not in that position, if you're standing straight up and down, you're in trouble. Because if that guy attacks you, are you ready for it? No. You're not ready for the challenge. Well, likewise, if your equation looks like y equals negative 3x plus 3, or y equals negative 1/4 x, I forgot the x there, sorry, plus 8, you are ready for the challenge. In other words, you're in the right form. In wrestling, we would say you're in the right stance. You're in the right form. When you're in the right form, you're ready to be productive, you're ready for the challenge, you can come out victorious. Look at this one. This does not say y equals, what does it say? Read, what does it say, everybody? 2y equals. So I need to change a little bit, just like if I was standing perfectly straight up and down like I am now, it's time to wrestle, I gotta get myself in position. Well, likewise, I need to get this particular equation into position. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to divide everything by 2. I'm going to do the inverse, the opposite, the undo of 2 times y, which is to divide by 2. That gives me, and I went very quickly today because I only had about a moment to get this done. That gives me y equals 3x minus 4. Bless you. When I do the division by 2, die, 6 over 2 is 3, 8 over 2 is 4. Now I can say the slope and the y-intercept because I have them in proper form. I think that one's pretty easy to understand. Now let's take a look at C. The problem with C is it's really far away from being in proper form. It's almost like I go out to wrestle and I'm like, I really have a lot to do to get ready to be in proper form so that I can meet any challenge. In this problem, what you need to do is 2 things. Or what you need to do are 2 things. First, you need to get the x on the other side so that you can even begin to get it to say y equals. So I do minus x minus x. That gives me 3y equals negative x plus 9. And then I divide by 3. Die. And now I have y equals negative. I don't write the 1 in front of the x, but it's there. Negative 1/3 x plus 3. Once again, y equals negative 1/3 x plus 3. And now I'm ready to say that the slope is negative 1/3, the y-intercept is 3. AJ, you've been patient. Go ahead.
I got negative x over 3.
You got negative what?
Negative x over 3.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The slope never, if your final answer was negative, well, that's what I wrote, negative x over 3. So why would you have a problem?
Because you wrote negative 1 over 3.
Well, the slope is negative 1/3. The equation is negative x over 3. The slope, listen very carefully, guys. The slope never, what word did I just say? Never. And that's a rare thing in life, right? It's a rare thing in anything in life. As the old saying goes, never say never. A slope never includes the x. It's always what's in front of the x. So when I write down that m equals negative 1/3, I'm remembering that there's really a 1 in front of that x. Okay? Any other questions? All right, and then we have this last one here. Obviously, the lines are not parallel. They don't have equal slopes. You need equal slopes to be parallel. All right, any questions? All right, so this is a summary of what we've been doing so far. Now we get to today's lesson. Okay, let's do one very similar to, 75% there. Let's do one very similar to what we've been doing the last couple days. Write the equation of a line passing through. What's the very first thing I need to do when I write the equation of a line passing through? And the whole class said? Find the slope. Very good. Okay, so to find the slope, I go, remember, any equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. So I need to find m and I need to find b. We're going to start by finding m, which we do this way. Y from second point minus y from first over x from second minus x from first. I like to subtract so that my y's come out positive, but you can do it the other way around. Your answer will be the same exact answer. 5 minus 1, I'll do it that here, over negative 1 minus 2, which is 4 over negative 3, which is negative 4/3. So I accomplished the first half of the problem. I found m. So y equals negative 4/3 x plus b. How do I find b? You know?
Plug in either one of the coordinates.
Very good. Sydney, which one should I plug in?
2 and 1.
Yeah, I would go 2, 1. It doesn't matter, but I go 2, 1 because there's no negatives, right? So xy, remember, x, y. So 1 equals negative 4/3 times 2 plus b. Now, I know some people in here are not comfortable with fractions, so you can do this on your calculator. Always enter a fraction in parentheses. Parentheses, negative 4 divided by 3 parentheses. Times 2, I'm going to get 1 equals negative 8/3 plus b. And then I'm going to add 8/3 to the other side, and I'm going to get 11 over 3 equals b. And you're going to get actually a decimal, but then you do math, enter, enter, and you will get the correct answer. So I come back up here, and instead of the b, I put 11/3. Now, what this is indicative of, remember yesterday, and the day before, we said, that a great technique is to graph it and see where it crosses the y, what the y-intercept is graphically by inspection. But we said sometimes it'll go in between points. Whenever you get an answer like 11/3, that's not a whole number. So this is one of those ones that if you graphed it, would have went in between 2 points, and you would have to do this technique. AJ,
Why would you subtract 3/8? I mean, 8, -8/3.
I actually added it.
Oh, well,
And 1 is 3/3, so 3/3 plus 8/3 is 11/3.
but why wouldn't you divide though?
Oh, because it's not being multiplied by the b. There's addition in between, so I have to do the opposite.
Hey, why don't you
Okay.
subtract them? Since
Why
it's-
that what?
Subtract
It's a
this.
negative.
Because it's a negative, so I have to do the opposite.
But isn't it like related to the B as being added?
Yeah, but listen, this plus sign has nothing to do with the 8/3. It has everything to do with the b. The 8/3 are negative, which is like subtraction, so I need to do the opposite, which is to add. Okay, any questions? All right, now, the next part goes to today's lesson. And this relates very much to something we did earlier in the year, the piecewise linear functions. If you remember, we did the fly tying problems, where of course the Rangers spanked the Islanders. Woohoo! I can't believe there's a lack of emotion on that particular one.
I don't watch hockey.
No, that's not that bad, but Victoria Balk would be going nuts right now.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
She shaved the back of her head.
Yeah, well, you know what happens? You have to,
But
Spencer, you cannot get upset with the poor girl. This is what you have to, literally. You know the old saying about, don't judge a person until you walk a mile in their shoes? Well, the poor girl's been an Islander fan for so long, that her brain cells, they're just not functioning. This is what happens when you root for the Islanders, you know, it's just part of the process. You with me on that? Do we have any Ranger fans in the room? So you completely understand where I'm coming from with this, right?
Mexican fans care about.
Met fans.
I'm a Met fan too.
I like Brazil.
Oh,
You
yeah.
like Brazil?
hot Mexican.
I'm glad you like Brazil. Now, is this for football or for the scenery? Or both?
Yeah, both.
Okay. All right. Now, so we've done our fair share of,
Fair share.
yes, our fair share. By the way, you wanna get political for a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Totally.
This was pretty cool. I saw this stuff on a news site last night. Do you know how many counties there are in the United States of America?
How many?
3,141.
Shut up. Nobody shut like.
Seriously? 3,141 counties,
Including Nassau and Suffolk County.
including Nassau and Suffolk. You wanna know how many Hillary Clinton won?
How many?
5.
7.
How many
No,
did
no.
you say?
8.
Like 100.
57.
Oh,
57?
50.
So for those of you who wanna know why the Electoral College exists, there are 3,141 counties in the United States of America. And Hillary Clinton only managed to win 57.
But you want to talk
Now,
about
a lot of people are saying that she won the popular vote, which is true, but let's go one step further. Let's picture the entire map of the United States of America.
Okay.
Now, in New York, around New York City, there are 5 counties around New York City. In those 5 counties, Hillary Clinton won 4 out of the 5, Trump won 1. In the 4 out of the 5 wins, she the popular vote in those 5 counties, Hillary Clinton won by 2 million votes. Which means the entire rest of the map of the United States of America, Hillary Clinton lost by 500,000
That's good.
for the entire country. Now, can you imagine if you were one of all the other counties in the United States of America? And of the 3,141 counties, almost 3,070 of them didn't want her to be president.
Yeah, no Clinton.
Yet, if it was just based on popular vote, because of those 5 counties, she would be president. And all of the others don't want her to be president. So what our founding fathers came up with, which I think is brilliant, is the idea of saying, look, we can't just make it popular vote. Otherwise, when 2 people ran for president, God bless, they would go to those 5 counties in New York. They would go to the counties around Dallas and Austin and Houston, and they would go out to LA and San Francisco and maybe San Diego and Chicago, and they would campaign in just those cities. because there are so many people in just those cities that if you get them on your side, the whole rest of the country doesn't amount to as much. So our founding fathers were very intelligent, and what they said was this: if we allow just popular vote to become the president, then all of those other counties, after a while, are gonna say, I'm out of here. Why do I wanna be a part of this country when how the constituents of our county feel has nothing to do with who's being president? So what they did was, yes, popular vote wins, but they broke it down by sectors of the country, namely 50 states. And they said, you've gotta win a plurality of the 50 states. You've gotta win the 270 votes of the Electoral College to become president. This way, on any given election, much of America is going to be content. And I think that's brilliant. The fact that a democracy had never been done before, a republic had never been done before. And these founding fathers in 1776 got together and anticipated something that might happen in the year 2016 and said, we can never let that happen to this country, because then most of the people in the country will be completely disenfranchised. And what they feel will not matter. And furthermore, the thing that makes it really bad is that you would then be collecting taxes from all those other counties so that you could give it to those 5 counties. Well, that's what would happen, because you would just promise those counties that they get whatever they want if they just vote for you. So those counties come out and they vote 100% for you. There's nothing that the other candidate can do, and all those people who live in all those other counties get their taxes collected, and then the person takes the money and gives it to the people who lives in those handful of counties. And now those handful of counties are very happy, so they keep voting for the person, and everybody else keeps giving up their money. I don't know if you know this or not, but in the original Constitution, you could not vote unless you own land.
Wow.
And there's something brilliant about that, because if you own land, you pay taxes. And if you don't own land, you don't pay taxes. So it was pretty smart. All right, I don't want to get too much into politics, but I found that to be totally fascinating. All right, ready? Piecewise linear function feature giving the following slope over the values. Begin with the point, -5, -7. So everybody goes onto their graph and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. There we go. Oh, hey, hey. There we go.
This
Good.
only did with blue.
-5, -7. 2, 4, 6, 7. There we go. Okay. Now,
No, it's
negative one.
no, it says begin with the point -5, -7. So that's exactly where you begin. Is everybody on -5, -7?
Doesn't say that.
It really doesn't say.
What does yours say?
Are
This is
any
nothing.
pieces parallel?
It just says the points.
Okay, so go to -5, -1, -7. I'm sorry, go to -5, -7, so that you begin at the same exact point that I'm beginning at. Now, there are two things going on here. There's a slope and there's also what? An interval. This is interval notation we did earlier in the year. Remember what a bracket means? It's the x values beginning at -5 and going up to what? -1. Do you include the -1? Yes. How come you know to include the -1? Because of the bracket. If it was a parenthesis, you would not. So I'm going to do up 3 over 4 until I get to where x is -1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And not so coincidentally, what is x right here?
1.
-1. That's where I was supposed to stop. That's my first piece of the piecewise linear function. Next. What does my slope become for the next part? Guys, what is the new slope? -1. Where do I stop applying that slope? When x hits 2. So down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. This is where x is 2. Stop my slope.
Stop 1 minute.
So this is the blue section. Next, I'm going to go up until x is what? Next section, guys. Where do I go? X is up until 5. And what is the slope I use?
2.
So I'm going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. X is now 5. My last piece, I go until x is what? 8. And what slope do I do? down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. That's where it is. That's my piecewise graph. Now, are any of those sections parallel to each other? Anthony, what do we got?
Well, we got negative 1, 2, and 5, 8.
That's right. The section from negative 1, 2, and the section from 5 to
The
8.
reason why those are the only one parallel is because, like you said yesterday, the slope has to matter. It's
That's right.
parallel, but not the inside.
Perfect. The slopes are exactly the same. The slopes are negative 1. So, our job today, what we were supposed to learn when we walked in the room, very simply, is refining our skills with piecewise linear graphs. In order to do that, you must know where you begin. That was where we began. You need to know over what interval and what slope to apply. Interval, slope to apply. Interval, slope to apply. Interval, slope to apply. Does that make sense to everybody?
C.
Good. Tomorrow we will do another day of piecewise linear graphs. What do you have to do tonight as part of your homework that you almost never have to do? Take home quiz. Obviously, you can work together on it. Does it make sense to copy? No. Does it make sense to check with a friend? Yes. Totally. Well said. All right.